When it comes to sim racing, console racers like us, we really get a bit of a bad reputation.
Console crew cruising, controllers in hand, rubber band physics, arcade wasteland. Purist we chant, on the rig no drift, force feedback, twist and wrist, that's the gift. PC precision, triple screen vision, frame so high, call it next level religion. Heel toe shifted, cockpits tight, console cats crash, me laugh, good night. Consoles for the casuals, PC's where it's at, but what's the final verdict? Let's unpack that, sim kings in the zone, no room for slack. Now buckle up, here's the race review track. Lap 1 tight corners breaking our point, mid-pack battles, the leaders disjoint. Console or PC, who really cares? Sims for the love, man, we're all out there.
Console gamers think we are just sim racing nerds, and actual sim racing nerds think that we are just arcade racing dickheads. Racing around in dirty lobbies, smashing each other off the track and just being generally poor with our driving standards. In this video I'm trying to unlock the truth behind whether playing on PC is more clean racing than on a console, for example. And the first thing I want to point out is within Gran Turismo, within sport mode, you will have to watch a racing etiquette video. This is a full 6-minute video that introduces you to what you're expected to drive like. What is sportsmanship? It basically gives you a breakdown of how you should be driving. Essentially, this video just tells you not to be a dick online. Just treat your fellow racers with respect. We also have the guidance, which is available in the sport mode menu, and it basically gives you a full tour of what to expect in sport mode. It gives you a breakdown on the safety rating and driver rating and the sportsmanship rating as well. So dangerous actions cause you to lower your DR and SR. It gives you a brief overview of what the daily races do. Championships gives you the tier levels. It explains all of the sport mode multiplayer racing elements in Gran Turismo 7 to you. It also gives you a little bit of a rundown on some of the things that will be in the FIA handbook, for example, to make sure you give space to the cars on the outside or the inside. Leave at least a car's width for your opponents to be side by side with you. Basically a full little breakdown of what to do, what not to do. It also gives you the advice on not to cut the white line for the pit lane. Many people that play sport mode still don't realize this, and they will get a 3-second penalty on pit in or pit out. The game in Gran Turismo, it tells you exactly what you need to do. Le Mans Ultimate is the sim that I will be using to see how the PC racers drive, see how they race, see how we get on. This game has recently been launched as a 1.0 version on PC. It's finally come out of early access, and this game will be coming to console. It's likely to be 2026, but it is scheduled to be coming to console, so this is a prime game for me to test this out. So heading over to online, and we go into the online portion of Le Mans Ultimate. Quick tour. We've got your driver profile, driver rating, online championships, daily racing, weekly racing, special events and hosted races. Now there is no instructional video for how to race. There is no quick tips as to what you should do, whether you need to leave space on the outside for other drivers. I think it's just assuming that everybody that plays this game is likely to be motorsport fans and will know the FIA rulebook inside out. Now heading over to my profile, just click on the profile up here. I've only done 7 races, and honestly I've had fantastic races in Le Mans Ultimate. I'm very low safety rating because I've very just started, so I'm only able to get into essentially what is daily race A, the equivalent in Gran Turismo 7. It has been using the GT3 cars. It was a fixed setup race at Spa, and I've had some incredible racing, it has to be said, but there is one race I would like to review, and the results are literally just behind my head now, which resulted in essentially a full SR reset. So my safety rank is down back at bronze 0. Everything I worked through for those 7 races was destroyed in this one race, and I want to cover this race in detail as a bit of a case study, deep dive analysis, covering what exactly went wrong, what could have been changed, what could I have done differently to have avoided these situations, because in this race I lost almost all of my safety rank and this could have been avoided. I don't want this video to be about one particular driver, because it could be any driver. I think there are three different types of dirty driving or unfortunate driving in any racing title, whether it be Gran Turismo 7, Le Mans Ultimate, iRacing, ACC, any sim racing title. There is the kind of dirty driving which ruins your race, but it's simply just straight up mistake. This is where someone's missed a braking point, had an incident themselves, which has then collected you in as collateral damage. This can't really be avoided. These mistakes just happen, and I'm sure we've all made those mistakes ourselves. The second kind of dirty driving is someone that is intentionally driving a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too forceful with some of their moves, lack of patience, and this is kind of the examples we're going to see in this video. And the third one is straight up ramming. We've seen it in Super GT's Shameful Rammers video, where someone just intentionally just disregards even trying to go on the track and goes for a straight up ram. Now, I haven't experienced that in Le Mans Ultimate, and to be honest, I have rarely, very rarely seen it in Gran Turismo 7. So in this one, we're going to be looking at overly aggressive drivers who have a lack of patience. You can watch the full uninterrupted exact live raw gameplay of this full race on my Daltonator Extra channel. I will leave a link in the description below. There'll be a QR code you can scan on the screen, so feel free to check that out. My Daltonator Extra channel is where I'll put some of my more entertaining videos, where there'll be straight up multiplayer racing, some fantastic battles. This channel you're watching right now will be more dedicated and will continue to be dedicated on helpful and educational videos like this one, and I've got a bunch of other videos on my channel that help you get faster and enjoy sim racing. We'll be playing through this mostly from the chase cam, because you get to see a bit more than what you would see during the gameplay. So basically, I started on pole in this race. I set a pretty good qualifying time. I was leading the pack down into turn 1, and turn 1 is essentially where my race completely unraveled. So we're going to light's going to go green, and we're going to race off of the line. So I'm in the lead. I cover off as much as I can. I'm just going to pause it there because I've never led a race into turn 1 on Le Mans Ultimate, and I weren't particularly sure where my braking point should have been. So I was perhaps a little bit too cautious into turn 1. I'm going to advance it in slow motion, and P3 I think is going to send it down the inside. I did see them. This may be considered a dive bomb, but in my opinion, they got side by side, almost approaching the apex. I was able to see them because they were to dive far enough. I was able to see them, give them room. I think that is an acceptable move. They also gave me room on the outside. They backed off. They under-rotated their car, so they under-slowed their car, which left me room on the outside. So I'm all good with this one. But in my opinion, I got mugged there. Which is that's on me. If I was to practice, I should have practiced the start, known my braking point, and then we're all good. So I'm going to follow him down through Eau Rouge, out flat-ish. I think there's a little bit of a lift. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the car status display on here, so you can see speeds, throttle traces, etc. But I've already got rear damage. I'm going to pause it just here. So as you can see, the driver behind is incredibly close to me and sniffing for a move into Lecum in lap 1. So I'm going to brake where I think I need to brake. And this is lap 1, so the tyres are going to be a little bit colder. I think the tyres actually did come pre-warmed for this race, so they're not super cold like they would be in other races. But I'm going to hit the brakes at a reasonable time here, and basically looking here right now, P3 is going to come in hot, and we're going to get a lot of rear bumping. So we're going to get bumped in the first part of the corner. That's going to put me a little bit out of touch, and we're going to continue to be just bumped into throughout this whole series of corners, and that's going to start to set the tone for this race. So a lot of movement from the car behind, a lot of rear bumping going on, and then we are personally going to follow P1 through this corner. Large track limits exploits, I guess, from P3, and we're going to run through here now, and then into this one here. I'm going to play it on slow motion again. I think we get a little bit more rear bumping through here. No, not quite. No rear contact there. But the way I'm feeling right now, we got through that pretty quickly, and I'm going to look to hit my braking marker in the next corner. I'm quite close to the car ahead, so we're going to go in here. He brakes, I brake, and as you can start to see in the bottom corner of the screen, P3 is going to send one. Now, the reason I didn't like this move is because there was not really enough overlap by the time we are all deciding to make our turn into the corners. I'll play it through in slower motion, and you can see here he's off the brakes, starting to roll in, and he's not really getting to a point where there is enough overlap. It's a bit of a half-arsed attempt at a move, and this is the kind of move that I feel is clumsy. If we just drop back a car to see it from his perspective, let's maybe try and ride on board to see his onboard view. Right, let's roll it back and look from onboard from his perspective. So he's going to see that was a mega send, and just big contact at the corner. Rolling it back now and seeing it from my perspective on the chase cam, that's a straight up supercross block pass, not basically leaving me with any choice but to be blocked. So that's a contact. So we've already had multiple contacts with this driver during lap 1, and this has kind of set the tone for the race, because I like to race fair, but if someone's going to race hard, I'm going to give back. Not in a dirty way, we're not going to go bump and run, but we are going to send it side by side if we need to. So flowing through here, I'm fully motivated to repass this guy. I did qualify in pole. I felt like I was fast in this lobby. I think this was split 5 out of the 31 splits that were running in this particular time slot. I'm rolling forward here, and I did talk early on about there are many things that I could have done to avoid the massive SR loss that I had. And the sensible thing to do is to recognise that this driver is a very aggressive driver and simply just flipping avoid them. Just let them race away. They will most likely become a torpedo for somebody else and become somebody else's problem. That would be my recommendation. But I was fired up and I wanted to do battle. So we just light the fire. Got a good run through the last couple of corners. I'm going to send it round the outside, and in fact during the braking phase I realised that I was going to be braking a little bit too far away. So if you roll it back here, and we're going to do a slow motion look at the brake trace. I actually released the brake during the braking phase to allow me to get the overlap to send it round the outside. So we're both going to look for our braking reference points. I'm to the outside, he's going to brake earlier than I do, but already I'm stopping too soon. So I released the brakes a little bit, in fact a couple of times, to make sure that I get my car aligned with his so I can send it around the outside. And you see I'm just playing with the braking, modulating my position with regard to his and my position with regard to what speed I need to take for the corner. And I'm going to try my best to just hang it around the outside. I've not quite got the full overlap. The outside becomes the inside in this bus stop chicane, and this is where you'll see we start to give back as good as we get. So we are slightly compromised in our corner now because we've got a really tight left-hander to take, and we try and get the car stopped as much as possible and really get the car heavily rotated. I've got a full load of steering lock on right now. He does have space on the outside. I am ahead at the apex, but there is contact, so a little bit on me for contact. I get a little bit of swaz which I need to get under control, but I'm still getting on the gas, and it's going to be a drag race down into turn 1. The interesting thing with this drag race down into turn 1, I knew that I wanted to keep him narrow to compromise his line into turn 1. Now, if I'm just going to roll it forward pretty slowly, if you look at the boxes, the grid boxes on the track to gauge the straight line of the track, he's coming back on. He's got a car's width on the outside, and I want to keep my car as straight as possible to keep him narrow and tight. And he's got about a car's width, but he continues to want to just push me over to the track. I think there's multiple contacts along this first front straight alone because he wants to get over to the racing line. I'm there. You can't drive into another car. I was just driving. In fact, I'm getting pushed along. So I wanted to just drive completely straight, keep him narrow into turn one to really compromise the line he can take. I'm going to ride it onto full speed, and then at the last point I'm going to sweep to the outside to get my preferred line. But look at more contact there, in fact. Let's wind that one back and just wind it back here now. I wanted to take my normal turn in. I knew he was going to be on the inside, so I was planning to sweep around, leave a car's width to the inside. But as it turns out, I think he's going to not turn in or turn in late. So you can see the tyre marks, the racing line's sweeping in. I'm starting to sweep in, but he's wanting to keep me wide. Whether that's through an aggressive move, he's not really gone for the racing apex. Maybe he's gone late on the brakes to try and avoid me being able to get around the outside. But there's multiple contacts happening there. Again, as I said before at the start of this video, there are so many things that I could have done to avoid all of these problems, and that's just not to race this driver. But I don't mind a bit of door banging. If it's going to happen, I'm happy to give it back. So we're going to run a little bit wide there onto the gravel, but we have got a good drive off of turn one, La Source, into Eau Rouge now, and I've got a good run. I'm going to back off a little bit to try and get the speed off of Radion. And I've got a great slipstream, and this should be a slam dunk pass, and you're just going to pull to the outside, the overspeed from the slipstream, and my focus here is just to brake as late as possible. I've already got the move done, but there is still more rear bumping happening through here, just constantly just pushing me forwards. Again, the car's just crumpling as we're just seeing it on screen now. So again, these are the annoying things that shouldn't really be happening. We should have a little bit more respect. I did actually go to cover the move that happened on lap one. He tried it on the outside. It didn't work out. So that is the first 1.5 laps of eventful racing already, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, guys. I'm interested to know your thoughts on many of these situations, because I think it's important to share opinions. And at this point here, I really wanted to focus on breaking away. I felt like I had the pace to catch the leader, but I was actually scared to brake too soon in many of the braking zones for fear of getting rear bumping through here. So I'm going to wind it on forwards a little bit. So skipping forwards a few laps, and another driver in the yellow Mercedes has now got past the driver that was having a lot of problems with. There is a dive bomb into turn one. There's a big difference here, and I will run you through it now. So basically into turn one, he's got a great drive off of the final corner, and I'm going into turn one. I wasn't aware of this guy's intention to make a move, but the reason I was happier with this dive bomb as such is that he was very much more clear in his positioning of his car to really just communicate to me that he wanted to make this move. He pulled out, he made a very deliberate late braking move, and was, I think, at the point where I wanted to turn in. And I think I start to straighten up the wheel at this point, almost side by side. So he's made his intentions very clear. This is a dive bomb, but he's got his car alongside my car, and he has basically given me the choice to give him the corner. Now, I liked this because he's shown enough of his car to give me the choice, and he's actually kept it really quite nicely on the apex. I see him there. I give him a car's width to the inside. I don't know if that's maybe a small bit of contact. I didn't feel it at the time, but it looks like it may have been a tiny bit of contact. But that was, there was a little bit of contact on the exit there, but unintentional. I caught the slide with a bit of opposite lock. But that dive bomb was more suitable than the dive bomb on lap one, in my opinion. So I'm running on. The compromise here is that I didn't get a great drive off of La Source, so I'm compromised through Eau Rouge. The guy's in my slipstream, and this is where I've essentially I've lost contact with the lead of the race. I'm fighting cars behind me, and I'm racing backwards. So the yellow Mercedes is going to put a move on me. He's going to clearly position his car so that I really don't have a choice but to give him the line. I'm going to run it through here because I think our original friend in this silver Mercedes. Now I did think I want to try and hang around the outside, because why not? Let's go to battle. But I think he probably released the brake a little bit to make sure he got to the apex first. This is good. This is in my opinion, clean racing. He's positioning his car to a point where I have the choice to drive into him, which I kind of do there. So yeah, that's on me. That's my bad. So I was still turning in when his position was there. And then now I'm compromised in my line to follow him through this sequence of corners here. Now I do try and cut to the inside because I want to make sure I don't run too wide and collect him, but the silver Mercedes is now hovering and waiting to pounce. I was aware of this driving on board the on-screen kind of radar map. Show me that he was trying to go through, and in fact I think he made contact with the yellow Mercedes. So yeah, this is a difficult one really, because I felt like the silver Mercedes was just driving to put his car in a position where he was going to run wider than the corner. So yeah, he's starting to run wide. He's using my car to turn. I was a little bit ahead, but he's going to get a bit of a swaz. He's going to catch that one, which is actually fantastic driving. I'm going to run on the gravel a little bit here, which is going to compromise some of my exit speed. I'm just going to run it through at full speed now. So he's got the inside into this corner here now. Now this position here, that is a much better pass than what happened on turn one. That's the kind of pass I can completely accept and I'm fully on board with. And yeah, he makes the pass, and now someone else is sniffing and just wants to follow through as well. So this is really just completely unraveled for me. And this is the biggest problem with racing hard and aggressive. You will both lose time. Both the defending driver and the attacking driver will lose time. So sometimes as the defending driver, it's better just to give up the position. It would have been better to not lose as much time and lose one position than to be swallowed up by the pack behind. So coming through here now, I need to basically defend this position from the it looks like teammate Mercedes. And now this one was a little bit on me. So he gave me space to the inside. I got on the gas in the middle of the corner trying to basically reclaim the position I've just lost. And my car runs out maybe just a little bit too much. A little bit of contact on corner exit. Not really a car's width left on corner exit. So on that one, I'm going to say, whoever that guy is, I'm sorry for that one. That was probably a little bit my bad. Skipping forwards now, this is the last but one lap of the race. Now we have caught back up to the silver versus yellow, and silver is going to make a move on yellow into Puon, which is not going to end well at all. Yellow is going to run wide, silver is going to be compromised, and yeah, that was a little bit of a bump and run in my opinion. Not a great amount of overlap again, didn't get the cars side by side. So basically these two drivers are now locked into battle, and I'm hoping to pick up the pieces. Now we are on to the actual last lap of the race, and silver is going to be attacked by the yellow Mercedes in this instance. So it's basically going to be a slipstream. Silver is going to go defensive. Let's just wind it forwards a little bit there. So silver is going to go defensive. Yellow has the overspeed to the outside. And I could see what was about to unfold here. I could see that silver was not going to like being overtaken. Yellow was going to try their best to hang on the outside, and silver was never ever going to let them outbrake them. So my thoughts here was that when they both run wide, as they inevitably will do, I will just slip through and take the two positions and finish second in this race. So as it turns out, the curb is the braking reference point. You want to be on the brakes at the curb. Yellow does that. Silver is a little bit later on the brakes, and maybe they will roll off the brakes as we go here. Now I could see that the silver car has far too much speed to make the corner. Yellow is going to be unable to turn in because the silver car is there, and they're both just going to sail by the corner. So I make sure I do make the apex, and I sweep through nicely. So yep, Yellow I think tried to get a cutback, but was forced wide. So both those two drivers, they're off the track. At this point I am aware that silver is off the track, so I think on the exit this corner I see on the radar they are coming back across, and I try and straighten up a little bit and go to the outside of the track to give them room to rejoin. At the point where I just ran out of room, I couldn't have given him any more room to rejoin than I did, and yet they still managed to collect me and spin me around. And this is the moments of the race that really pissed me off the most. I don't mind a bit of door banging, I don't mind a dive bomb, even a little bit of rear bumping isn't too much of a problem, but this just absolutely destroyed the race. Now I was going to try to look from a different driver's perspective. Now actually yellow driver in this instance, I actually didn't realise, but you can see here they are safety rating gold 1. So that yellow driver, as we've seen before, they have an incredibly good safety rating. We're going to ride on board with the silver Mercedes and keep an eye on the brake and throttle trace here. So down the straights, clearly they're just going to be going flat out. That's all good. So I'm going to play it through in slow motion through the sequence of corners. So they are getting off the brakes to make sure they do stay side by side with the yellow Mercedes, and they are just going to overshoot the corner, which is unfortunate. Again, this could just be the heat of the moment. They made a mistake. That's all good. That's not a problem. I think there is barely contact. I didn't see the contact actually, but at this point here, you're off track. I think my biggest problem is if you look at the throttle trace, this driver is intending to carry as much speed as possible back onto the track rather than just getting onto the track safely. You can see them start to apply throttle, and they're almost at full throttle as they just get back on the throttle again. They're at full throttle here as we make contact. I don't think that's good enough, guys. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. There should have been so much more track to the left-hand side that the silver Mercedes would have used. Yes, they would have given up the position to me. But yeah, in fact, let's just roll it on, because I think this driver also somehow sends into P2 as well. So let's see what happens here. I've not actually looked at this one. So they are going to get to the inside of the yellow Mercedes and just going to run them out off the road. Now I don't know if this is just over exuberant driving, but that looked like a bit of a bump and run again, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. So it's going to seem apparent that it's not just console racing where the dirty drivers exist. Whether that's over exuberant driving or just straight up dirty, it's hard to really tell. But the big takeaway I want you to know from this, and certainly to help to improve your own sim racing, whether it's in Gran Turismo 7, Le Mans Ultimate or whatever, you cannot control what the other drivers do. What you can control is the car that you are driving and the position that you position your car. In this race, I could have avoided this particular driver completely and been completely away from them, even if that meant giving them the position. And the yellow driver just go a little bit too deep on the brakes. I think there's more contact there again, and they're going to get the runs the line. I think the yellow driver actually got a drive-through penalty or something at the end of this race. So yeah, what a mad race. I hope you have enjoyed this deep dive driving racing analysis video. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more. On screen right now is the link to the video where this is the full raw unedited race where I drive this race live from cockpit cam, and you can see exactly how it unfolded. Go and check out that race and make sure you go and subscribe to me over at Daltonator Extra. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.